Do you confuse letting the universe act with sitting back and waiting for miracles? Maybe that strategy hasn't worked. Taoism warns, surrendering to the flow isn't passivity, it's the highest form of participation. It's the difference between a dead leaf and a surfer reading the perfect wave. Today, we'll clear up this dangerous misunderstanding and learn the true practice. Ancient wisdom reveals a profound misunderstanding that has led countless seekers astray. When we hear about letting the universe work or going with the flow, our modern minds often interpret this as permission to become passive observers of our own lives. We imagine that spiritual surrender means sitting in meditation, waiting for cosmic forces to solve our problems while we do nothing. This interpretation isn't just wrong, it's the complete opposite of what the Tao teaches. True Wu Wei, the effortless action that flows from harmony with the Tao, is not laziness wearing a spiritual mask. It's the highest form of engaged participation with life. Consider the difference between a dead leaf floating downstream and a skilled kayaker navigating rapids. Both move with the water, but only one demonstrates mastery. The leaf has no choice, no awareness, no ability to respond to changing conditions. The kayaker reads every current, feels every shift in the water's energy, and makes precise adjustments that appear effortless but require years of practice and complete presence. This is the shocking truth that many miss. Surrendering to the flow demands more awareness, not less. More sensitivity, not numbness. More precise action, not inaction. When ancient masters spoke of Wu Wei, they were describing a state of such refined attunement to natural forces that their responses became spontaneous and perfect. Like a master musician who no longer thinks about individual notes, but allows the music to flow through them, or a skilled surgeon whose hands move with intuitive precision. The confusion arises because we live in a culture that equates effort with force and action with struggle. We've forgotten that there's a third way, the way of intelligent responsiveness. This path requires us to develop what the Taoists call soft power, the ability to achieve maximum results with minimum resistance, not through aggression or passivity, but through perfect timing and placement. In our contemporary world, this misunderstanding has created a dangerous spiritual bypassing. People use letting go as an excuse to avoid taking responsibility for their lives. They quit their jobs without a plan, claiming they're trusting the universe. They avoid difficult conversations, saying they're going with the flow. They neglect their health, their relationships, their responsibilities, believing that spiritual surrender means abandoning all effort. But observe what happens in nature, the very teacher of the Tao. Does the river surrender its power when it flows around a boulder? No, it maintains its essential nature while adapting its form. Does the tree give up when winter comes? No, it draws its energy inward, conserving resources while remaining rooted and alive. Natural surrender is not collapse. It's intelligent adaptation. The modern confusion stems from our binary thinking. We believe we must choose between controlling everything or controlling nothing. But the Tao offers a third option, responsive participation. This means developing the sensitivity to feel when to push and when to yield, when to speak and when to listen, when to act and when to wait. It's like learning to dance with a partner. You don't lead by force, nor do you become a limp doll. You maintain your own center while staying attuned to the subtle signals that guide the dance. Consider how a skilled negotiator operates. They don't bulldoze their way to agreement, nor do they passively accept whatever is offered. Instead, they listen deeply, sense the underlying currents of the conversation, and make strategic moves that feel natural and effortless, but are actually the result of years of practice and acute awareness. This is Wu Wei in action maximum effectiveness with minimum friction. The key insight is that true surrender requires tremendous inner strength and clarity. It's not the weakness of giving up. It's the wisdom of knowing exactly when and how to apply your energy for maximum benefit. Ancient masters tell us of Cook Ding, a butcher whose skill had transcended mere technique and entered the realm of art. When he worked, his knife moved through an entire ox, as if cutting through air, never dulling, never meeting resistance. Observers watched in amazement as he separated joints and carved meat with movements so fluid they seemed like a dance. When asked about his method, Cook Ding explained that he no longer saw the ox as a solid mass, but as a collection of natural spaces and openings. "I follow the natural structure," he said. "My knife finds the hollow places, the gaps between bone and sinew. I never force my way through. I simply follow the path that already exists. After 19 years, my blade is still sharp because it has never met true resistance." This parable reveals the essence of working with the universe rather than against it. Cook Ding's mastery came not from abandoning effort, but from learning to place his effort precisely where it would be most effective. This is the art of minimal but powerful action that the Tao teaches. Like a ship's rudder, a small piece of metal that can redirect a massive vessel, our interventions become most effective when they're precisely placed and perfectly timed. The rudder doesn't fight the ocean. It works with the forces already present to guide the ship's direction. Similarly, when we learn to read the natural currents in our lives, we can make small adjustments that create profound changes. This principle applies to every area of human experience. In relationships, it might mean offering a single word of understanding at exactly the right moment rather than delivering long speeches. In business, it could mean recognizing the perfect timing to launch an idea rather than forcing it prematurely. In personal growth, it means identifying the one habit that will naturally lead to many others, rather than trying to change everything at once. The secret lies in developing what ancient wisdom calls empty perception, the ability to see the spaces between things, the pauses between words, the moments of opportunity that most people miss because they're focused only on the solid, obvious aspects of situations. There lived a master archer whose arrows found their target with such consistency that people believed he possessed supernatural powers. Students came from distant lands to learn his secret, expecting to discover some hidden technique or mystical practice. Instead, they found him teaching something unexpected, the art of not trying. The moment you grip the bow with desperation to hit the target, he would say, "You have already missed." The arrow knows its way. Your job is to become so aligned with the natural forces that the shot releases itself. This didn't mean the archer was passive. He spent years developing perfect posture, learning to read wind patterns, understanding the weight and balance of different arrows. But when the moment came to shoot, all that preparation dissolved into a state of relaxed alertness. He would draw the bow, align with the target, and then instead of forcing the release, he would simply allow it to happen when everything felt perfectly balanced. This parable teaches us 3 practical applications for letting the universe work through us. First, develop what the Taoists call active listening to the subtle energies around you. This means paying attention to the small signals that most people ignore, the slight hesitation in someone's voice that tells you they need more time to think, the feeling in your body that suggests this isn't the right moment to make a decision, the intuitive sense that a different approach might work better. Second, practice the art of strategic patience. This isn't passive waiting, but rather the discipline of preparing thoroughly while remaining alert for the right moment to act. Like a cat watching a mouse hole, you maintain complete readiness while allowing the timing to reveal itself naturally. This requires developing trust in natural rhythms rather than forcing artificial deadlines. Third, learn to distinguish between your authentic impulses and your ego's agenda. The universe works through your genuine nature, not through your fears, ambitions, or need to prove yourself. When you feel driven by anxiety or the need to impress others, pause and reconnect with what genuinely wants to emerge from your deeper wisdom. We began this exploration by challenging the common misunderstanding that letting the universe work means becoming passive. Through the wisdom of the Tao, we've discovered that true surrender is actually the highest form of intelligent participation. It's not about doing nothing. It's about doing exactly the right thing at exactly the right moment with exactly the right amount of energy. This understanding transforms how we approach every aspect of life. Instead of oscillating between forcing outcomes and giving up entirely, we learn to find the middle way, the path of responsive action that flows from deep listening and precise timing. We become like skilled dancers who can follow the music while still expressing their unique style, or like experienced sailors who work with the wind rather than fighting it. The practical result is a life of greater effectiveness with less struggle. When you stop pushing against the natural grain of situations and start looking for the openings that already exist, you discover that the universe is constantly offering opportunities for graceful progress. Problems that seemed impossible begin to reveal unexpected solutions. Relationships that felt stuck start to flow again. Creative projects that were blocked suddenly find their natural expression. This doesn't mean life becomes easy or that challenges disappear. Rather, it means you develop the skill to meet whatever arises with the appropriate response, sometimes firm action, sometimes patient waiting, sometimes creative adaptation. You learn to trust the intelligence that flows through you when you're aligned with the deeper currents of existence. And maybe, just maybe, this is what the ancient masters meant when they spoke of becoming one with the Tao. Not losing yourself in cosmic forces, but discovering that your truest self is already in perfect harmony with the way things naturally want to unfold. The universe isn't separate from you, waiting to be trusted. It's expressing itself as you, through your awareness, your choices, your perfectly timed actions. What would change in your life if you approached each situation by first asking, what wants to happen here? And then offering your skills in service of that natural unfolding? If this reflection resonated with you, follow the path of the Taoist diary for more journeys. Wisdom is in the walking,